Hi, I'm Mary Brody, and I'm the author of Revenue or Relationships Win Both. In this step, we consider the customer's experience with the product. If the experience doesn't meet the customer's expectations that have been set in the two earlier steps of the relationship journey, the company isn't being accountable. With reduced accountability comes reduced trust, which leads to lost loyalty, fractures engagement, a misaligned brand, and ultimately, a damaged relationship. Additionally, a lack or decrease in accountability and trust is also connected to other departures from the life cycle or being stuck in a specific step along the way. This happens when a customer finds that a solution isn't right for him or her for any reason. But this also happens when there are mismatched expectations between what the company claims a solution does and the actual solution. Or the customer may uncover a new understanding about their problem and what he or she needs the solution to do. This is why elements of the solution experience needs to be integrated with the rest of the customer relationship lifecycle. Consistently stating and setting expectations throughout the process is key. Now, in this step, customers transition from knowing your company at a distance to becoming members of the company community. And this can happen through two paths. The product experience, or this step that we're discussing today, which allows customers to experience the product firsthand and later share their successes with each other regarding how the product or service improved their life in some way. And two, the post-purchase experience, which centers around various types of agreements that include logistics, payments, promotions, collaborations to bring some type of benefit to an industry or the world. Now, for this video, we will be discussing the product experience and the relationship built from meeting or exceeding expectations to solve a problem and developing community through shared experiences and successes. Now, a video about accountability is available to give you some background on that, along with explicit and implicit agreements. Further, the previous video about purchasing includes information about baselines, best practices, and parity, and that information is useful here as well. Rather than reiterate what is in those past videos, I'm going to jump in and discuss the explicit and implicit expectations that were set during the pre-purchase and purchase steps of the customer relationship lifecycle. During those steps of the life cycle, the company made promises about benefits, provided a vision, described the solution experience through the customer stories, and set other types of explicit expectations and agreements that needed to be delivered during this product experience. There were also implicit agreements made in the industry at large through competitor products, by companies that provide a comparable solution, and various approaches to payment methods that may shift how people view a problem. When you're defining a product experience, keep these implicit and explicit agreements and expectations in mind. You may want to list them out to inform which type of issues you'll need to address in your product and in supporting content and conversations to complement that product experience. Now, before we discuss details around conversations for the product experience, let's discuss a customer conversation that may impact the product experience, and that is around how a product is made. Sometimes customers want to understand if certain ideas or approaches were used in a product's creation, specifically if a company is treating employees or vendors ethically or fairly, or if they have humane work conditions or sourcing options. They may choose not to spend their money with companies that don't support that. Choices regarding how a product is made may also impact a product experience if there is a bug or defect. The speed to fix the issue may not meet customer expectations if processes are slow or challenged. There's a lot more to this point that deserves an entire video. Operations matter in a company's extended community that includes customers. More to come on this in the future. There are two main types of product experiences and conversations that you'll need to develop in addition to your solution, which is a product or service. One, setup and instructions for general use. This experience orients the customer to the product so he or she can start using it. And two, the optimization of results. This experience helps customers use your company's product more effectively. So let's start with setup and instructions. Originally, I had setup different from instructions, but I realized that they were in fact related. Setting up a product and getting a user oriented to use it and be engaged with it can be considered as a very different process than accessing instructions for how to use a feature. You could argue, though, that a process to get a customer to use a new feature is quite similar to setting up a new product. Customers need to discover this feature and then understand how it can help them, how it works, how it benefits them, and why they need it, just as they would a product. And in some ways, you could consider this process to build a relationship with a feature as being similar to building a relationship with a product or a company, but it's just a deeper, more involved process and builds a stronger relationship with that product or company. That's why they're together here. So during setup and instructions, the customer is going to be determining if the marketing and sales explicit agreements made in the earlier lifecycle steps are in fact met. These include product features, benefits, brand promises, and more. The setup and instructions experiences help the customer determine how the product meets or exceeds expectations. Now, for someone to see results quickly, the product or service needs to be straightforward to set up and use. This means that the solution needs to have intuitive, or rather familiar, usability patterns. For more information, I'd suggest that you watch my video on Jeff Raskin and what it means to be familiar. The need for instructions should be limited because first, most people don't read them. Second, a well-designed product or service shouldn't need instructions because it should be made to map to how that user solves the problem. And third, it's a pre-step for a customer that just may not be necessary. Instructions involve learning and education before being able to use a product to see results. And it's not bad, but it's discouraging for a customer from experiencing immediate product benefits. Yeah, instant gratification. Instructions included in a product's process or a product providing quick wins during use allows a customer to feel that they're achieving a win. And that provides them that positive experience so that they can see progress and keep going. Yes, again, instant gratification, but it works. Now, as we discussed in the purchase video about value and worth, a complex product that requires intensive setup time and instructions won't be used and product adoption will be low because people will perceive it as being difficult to use. If you offer a service to help set up the product, customers may adopt it, but then again, you're offering services and training as a way to reset expectations about the product and work around its flaws. Enterprise products sometimes do this, setup and training with the product purchase, and this combination is meant to set the perception that the company is attentive to customer needs, but it actually achieves the opposite. With this approach, customers perceive the product to be difficult to use and maintain. Experts are needed to support the product. And although the company may avoid some support calls during setup and get the customers using the product quickly, the customer may assume that a manual will be required later for reference, and it may be a deterrent for daily use and more advanced use. I mean, who wants to constantly reference a manual to use a product or attend hours of training to avoid a manual? Features need to be easily discoverable, and that's what's really needed, is the product to be redesigned so installation, setup, and training just isn't necessary at all. That establishes the perception that a product is easy to use and doesn't require more experience than you have with any other digital product to figure out. Now, for a service to be straightforward, the person providing it needs to guide the customer through the process that will occur to help set and later meet expectations. The relationship and communications between the company, employees, and customers is vital to the success of the service and to ensure accountability. After a customer experiences a product, your company will want to share their experience. This is why customers go from being conversation participants or content readers and viewers to conversation and content creators. Their role elevates to become an advisor to customers and prospects in the earlier stages of the life cycle, sharing their stories and providing insights and advice to help people better use products. Now, most companies aren't able to achieve this because they don't provide a way for customers to be part of a larger company community. They offer forums to better use a product or solution, or social media channels for discussion, but often such communities aren't really integrated with the company beyond that. Some companies will offer in-person experiences like user groups or meetups for customers to share their experiences, thoughts, and feedback with each other. That's a preferable solution. Some companies have customer councils. That's also preferable. existing customers sharing their experiences with prospects is just simply golden. Now, I see there to be 3 conversation personas, if you will, during the product experience for setup and instructions and later for optimizing results. 1, those who are open to self-service. 2, those who contact the company for assistance. And 3, those who reach out to the company's community. There could be more, but I'm going to work with these regarding conversations. So let's start by discussing conversations for those who solve their challenges through self-service for setup and instructions. These types of experiences and conversations happen because the customer's product experiences align with their expectations. The product seems to be generally familiar to use, but there may be a block to find or use a feature. The customer may need to shift his or her behavior and actions to get the product or service to work as intended, or the customer may be missing information to achieve that. Education and some investigation may be needed to overcome it, and content to support this type of conversation could include automated experiences like tutorials, forums, FAQs, and online help, or automated conversations like search and bots to guide the customer to the right help resource. Now, when a customer contacts a company for help or has an in-person conversation, the customer may be indirectly communicating to the company that the experience is not meeting his or her expectations and the agreements made with the company just don't map to what he or she is experiencing now. If, after some research, a customer doesn't find what he or she needs, he's going to need to call. And he may come to the conclusion that the experience just doesn't meet expectations or the agreements made, so the company itself really needs to resolve this. There will always be 10 to 20% of the users or customers with unique challenges outside of that happy path, and they're going to require in-person conversations or experiences of some sort. But these conversations aren't bad. The silver lining here is that these conversations provide your company information to improve the product and understand customer needs. No customer will ever be 100% happy with your product or service, and that's okay. The friction from such calls will keep your team inspired to create a better product. Not all calls that come in will be from customers who are lost using your product and need help. Some issues that come from these conversations will require your company to fix the product. They could be a software bug, an issue that's a result of faulty manufacturing, a missing feature, or a broken part. In-person approaches that include conversations and experiences are ideal to address this. A great example is Apple's Genius Bar. Those who can't complete certain computing tasks on their own can go to a place for someone to teach them how to do it or fix the issue. The same could be said for a car dealer's repair shop. As a second resort, in-person conversations through virtual means like live chat or on phone can also be effective. With screen sharing software today, someone could fix your computer issue remotely. Alternatively, with video, someone could give you guidance to remotely fix an object. Automated conversations may direct someone to the right digital or offline resource. It's useful, but not if someone is contacting a company for help at a store or through a phone call due to unmet expectations. You could assume that such a person probably exhausted all their digital options, and at that point, they believe that the company should fix the issue, even if it means one-on-one training through the phone. In such a case, a company could be accountable and take the call. It will improve the relationship even if an employee believes that the solution is online and trains the customer to access that existing solution. Now, when a customer reaches out to a company's community during the product experience, the motivation and experience is different than when it reaches out to the company. Often the customer is communicating that his or her experience does align with expectations, but they're curious about the results that others are getting. This customer is motivated to get advice to improve their behaviors and activities. But sometimes the customer reaches out to the company's community because he or she is dissatisfied with the product and the company's response. They need more help. However, this case is related to the other cases in that there is an assumption that the community includes members who have been successful in using the product. They have knowledge and they can provide hope to find the right solution. A little more on this shortly. In the case of open source community products, the community emerges as the main resource to resolve issues, not the company unless they're receiving payment for support as a service. However, that is expected due to the agreements made before the sale. The community will help the customer if the company isn't able to solve the problem. And what's interesting in this case is that although the product may be meeting expectations, help by the company is not offered as an option unless it's a paid service. And customers participate and provide advice because their experience is so awesome with the product or service that they'll become a surrogate employee or influencer, helping your company and advocating for your product. Now, a community demonstrates through its existence that they have successfully used the product. So what they are suggesting as a solution or resolution is entirely possible. They provide help if the company is difficult to contact. And sadly, some companies will make communities the default help center, but that's an absolute abuse of the channel. The community helping each other isn't just a way to get free support, it's a way to build a relationship among employees and your customers so customers become super customers. It's never a substitute for company support. It allows these super customers to inspire other customers to keep using the product to achieve results. They should make what may seem to be impossible possible and keep customers motivated to stay in the company community and use the product. So what are some effective methods to connect customers in your community? Well, in-person experiences like user groups or meetups, automated experiences like forums, in-person conversations and word of mouth can also be helpful. Hybrid experiences with in-person methods like social media and webinars are also excellent. And mainly when a person can be physically present in the conversation, community has a chance to build. Let's consider the other type of experiences in conversation, optimizing results. Optimizing results takes your customer from being a user to a super user. But a challenge with getting customers to engage as a super user is helping them to realize that it's possible to use the product in a better way, a more powerful way. Because you don't know what you don't know, and that's true for customers. They don't know what it means to use the product in a better way. And this is why expecting a customer to discover this type of information on his or her own through self-help just may not be effective. You have to almost show your customer that they again have a problem and you have a solution. Your company will almost need to do another round in the customer relationship lifecycle to engage customers at a deeper level as you would to introduce them to a new feature. And to get deeper engagement with a customer, you have to have a way for them to discover new ideas and features and encourage them to use them regularly. So you have to have a pre-purchase, purchase, and product experience step that uses automated and in-person experiences and conversations and provides moments of discovery. So what's the best way to allow discovery for optimizing your product use? Well, encourage your super user customers to inspire other customers. Allow these super customers to become leaders for customers to see a new way to be successful with a product. So the most effective way to do this is through in-person conversations and experiences and related hybrid experiences. So some examples are presentations and demos by existing customers at user group meetings or conferences or trade shows or webinars, or maybe there's conversations with sales or even through social media posts. And that can all engage people to achieve that goal. But this can only happen once the customer sees the initial results from the product. Otherwise, you can present these more advanced methods, and although they may be inspiring, the customer may not perceive it that way. Customers sharing advanced use of a product or service with other customers definitely helps build community and a shared knowledge or understanding. But support from the company to achieve this can help too. The company can then offer tutorials and other guided educational experiences as self-help options and provide those insights if customers contact the company. What can also help during this step is to outline to customers what others managed to achieve so that they can gauge what they should expect to see as a result. Yes, this is setting another type of expectation for customers as guidance so they can check in to see how they're doing. Now, some statistics a company could provide as a check-in for customers to measure progress are outlining what great product results look like, defining what adoption is, and outlining best and average adoption times, providing suggestions in the product or service for people to do more or how to get better results, almost like embedding instructions in the experience. When you're trying to get customers to optimize their results, you are inspiring and encouraging them to think bigger about their lives. This is a key factor in building a great customer relationship. There's more information about this idea in the video about vision and mission statements, but this is ultimately what built the customer relationship. The connections form when the product solves a problem and when the customer is working towards something bigger than him or herself. Now, to wrap up, the product is only one element of the product experience. There are so many other aspects to consider regarding the product experience when working on building a relationship with customers. There is the quality and usability of the product itself, the conversations to get someone to use the product and use its features, and the community sharing information to improve and broaden the product experience. The process of building product engagement just never ends. If anything, what I think we learn from the product experience is that the discovery of new ideas and the deepening of the customer relationship is just ongoing, and meeting agreements and expectations drives the success of this life cycle step. The more people understand what to expect from your product and the more familiar the experience, you're going to notice higher adoption rates, better customer relationships, and together that will develop a stronger customer community because people are happy to be there and use your solution. Customers, employees, and the company all together become an ecosystem that inspires each other to be better and to do better. I hope this was helpful. Thanks so much and have a great day.